Peace, peace, peace. What's going on? This is your brother MD checking in once again. MD checking in once again. Peace, Black Son. What's up? You on mute if you can hear me.
Hey, yeah, I was saying it. I was muted. I was saying this is a first, man. This is a first in history, man. Hey, I don't think this has ever been discussed before, but yeah, black nationalism versus communism. This is a this is a first. So yeah, I'm excited.
All right, all right, cool, cool. Hey, first, before we get started, I need to play two pieces of audio real quick. First up, you know what I mean. I want to play. Let me bring up the backdrop.
Okay, how's my mic sound, by the way? I know I was muffled last time.
Yeah, yeah, you fine, you fine. Just like I said, at
Oh,
any
okay,
point in time, just let me know. Let me know that if I start messing up.
okay, 10-4, 10-4.
All right. So first and foremost, let me bring up this. First, we're gonna bring to your attention. I want everybody to rise, and we're gonna play the Black National Anthem, y'all, because it's a big matchup. So you
Yes,
got to do
sir.
it right. So I want everybody to rise. We're gonna play the Black National Anthem. Would you please rise? Remove any headwear, and we're gonna present the Black National Anthem.
I'm 51 now, by the way.
And let me know you can hear it.
It's a little low, just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, it's low because it's
Okay,
a recording.
okay.
Can you see by the blood in the streets that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land with sweat and their hands. But you'll die in this place, and your memory remains. Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave. 19 years old.
For rendition of the Black National Anthem by Jill Scott. Beautiful rendition. What you think about that, Black Son? Beautiful.
Yeah, that's my first time hearing that. Oh yeah. You say Gil Scott? Jill Scott?
Yeah, Jill Scott.
Oh yeah,
Not
Jill
not
Scott,
the
man.
land, not the land of the free, but the home of the slave.
Yep, yep.
Beautiful.
Damn. Yep.
That's all right. Black nationalism. They in the ring now. Please continue to stand for the Communist Party national anthem, y'all. Damn,
Oh
I
man,
got inspired.
Man, that makes me proud to be a Russian, man. Goddamn.
Man, that man, I want to join the proletariat after that, man. Damn.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. So now we about to get into it. We gonna deal with this video, and like I said, we just gonna listen. And at the end, you know, if anybody's up for it, and I'm a pause as we go along if something of importance comes up.
Almost
But
definitely.
at the end, we gonna open it up. If anybody would like to come up and share their thoughts on what they just heard. Now this sister that present this particular presentation did an excellent job. Excellent job on breaking down facts when it comes
Yeah.
to Black nationalism and communism. So let's listen in to the sister. And let me bring it up. And keep an open mind. Take notes if you got to, so you can come back to it later. And again, if you would like to come up after the presentation, feel free. I'm gonna put the link in the chat as the video goes along. But let's get into this. Give me a second. Take it to share my screen.
They didn't study.
All right, here we go. You can hear it, Black Son.
Yeah, I hear it. Yep.
Okay, so Black oppression in the West, particularly in the US, has been an integral part of capitalism since its inception. In fact, the transatlantic slave trade, which really laid the basis for the development of capitalism, was instrumental in forming modern race relations and how they exist today. And from the times of slavery up until now, there has been a long and powerful history of Black struggle, in which Black nationalism has played a big role at various times.
Hey, Black Son, if it's anything that catch your ear, just tell me to pause it. I'll pause.
Okay. Oh no, 10-4, man. And same with the people in the audience, man. Y'all, well, I guess they'll just leave a comment. Shit.
Yeah.
But this is not a new discussion. It has been a part of the Black struggle movement since its very early days. And I would say that the Black nationalist movement has expressed itself in different ways over the last century. Black nationalism as a whole is quite an amorphous concept. It's not a fixed thing. I think various different people would have a different definition. It has included in different periods the demand for a separate nation state. It can encompass for some people the colonial revolutions that took place across Africa and various other struggles for Black liberation. Black nationalism in the US, I would say, is not the...
Hey, I'm going to pause right there, Black Son, real quick. So she defined Black nationalism. She said Black nationalism encompasses the yearn for a separate Black nation state, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to clarify. Continue.
the exact same thing as Black nationalism, if you can call it that, in Africa or African countries. Although clearly many Black nationalists, particularly in the West, identify strongly with the movements that took place, the anti-colonial revolutions that took place across Africa. So since the Black Lives Matter movement, there has been a searching for ideas, and many people are correctly looking at previous struggles to find answers to try and find a way forward. And so if you're interested in Black liberation and you want to dedicate yourself to that cause, and you take the time correctly to look at history and look at the history of that struggle, then you're going to come across Black nationalism. So what we are trying to answer today is, how should we as Marxists, as communists, relate to this, who are also dedicated to the cause of Black.
Hold on, wait a minute, Black Son. She said she was what?
Yeah. Now, I will say this. Let me say this real quick, MD, because I've heard this argument before too. You know, you got, now they said that they're Marxists. You got Marxists, you got Maoists, you got Leninists, you got Trotskyists. So I'm very glad she made her form of communism clear, because people will, you know, you got communists from different factions of, yeah, well, you know, we don't agree with Leninists, we agree with Maoists, we don't agree with, you know what I'm saying? So you got, right. I just want to, right. I'm glad she addressed that. So yeah, keep that in your back pocket, though.
I'm glad you said that, Black Son. She's gonna get more in depth.
Okay.
To the different socialist ideologies. That ain't it. She gonna break it down. Trust me.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, okay, good.
All right, let me continue.
Okay.
Huh?
And I guess I jumped ahead then. Damn. Oh shit.
No, it's all good. Hey, poignant point. Like, she gonna get into it though. Let's listen.
Liberation. And the first thing I want to say is that we don't take a moralistic or a sentimental view of history. Our job is to study the class struggle and draw certain conclusions on what has worked and also what hasn't worked. And
she said what has worked and what hasn't worked. Let's continue.
Right, none of this worked.
If it hasn't worked, we need to understand why. What were the ideas? What was the strategy? And what was the form? So we have to deal in large part with the US, with the United States. The US is the biggest capitalist economy in the world. The movement of the masses there is of vital importance. And Black workers have been a very important part of its history and the class struggle that takes place in America. And you had the slave trade, brutal conditions, and then a revolutionary abolitionist movement, followed by a period of migration and various different changes and circumstances. All of that period is what lays the basis, lays the foundations for the development of political ideas emerging from the Black masses. So the first serious wave of Black nationalism was expressed quite soon after the 20th century. Now, this wasn't the first example of Black political life or even Black self-organization. Instinctively, Black workers would form self-defense committees where necessary to protect themselves against lynch mobs and other attacks that were commonplace in this time. So this was already in place. You also had Black newspapers that were regularly writing and commenting on issues concerning Black people. Martin Delany is someone who's considered to be the originator of the phrase Africa for the Africans.
Said who, Black Son? Didn't Yanga mention Martin Delany yesterday?
Martin Delany, yep, that's true, yep.
Okay, all right, let's get into it.
3 times yesterday. Yeah, I mentioned him several times. So yeah.
No doubt. Let's hear what she say.
And he wrote for a paper alongside Frederick Douglass being the famous Black abolitionist, that was aimed at the Black population, aimed at the Black masses to kind of raise their level and their interest in political issues. And Martin Delany actually, in his pursuit of Black liberation, he sought out foreign colonization opportunities. That was his idea. And this is at a very early period. So this was around 1859, 1860. He led an exploration party across parts of West Africa, and they were trying to find different parts that they thought would be a good opportunity, a good place to settle. So you can see, even in its earliest forms, it had different and confused ideas that reflected different class positions and class outlooks. This is obviously Frederick Douglass, for example, a key abolitionist figure, but essentially saw a fairer capitalism as a way forward, as a way to...
Wait a minute, Black Shadow. She said what?
Yep. Fair way to
She said Frederick Douglass was a what?
Black capitalist.
A capitalist.
Yep. Black capitalist. Yep.
Liberate the black masses. And this isn't surprising for that period, right? The working class at this stage in America is incredibly small still. And so we can understand why, working class politics still hasn't taken on a strong sense. So you have Reconstruction, which is this period after slavery in which the free black population is trying to change their conditions. But what happens is the immediate implementation of Jim Crow laws, racist segregation, the KKK is founded, violence, lynchings, all of this is incredibly common, particularly in the South. So the point is, this is a life of brutality if you're black. So eventually we see a movement beginning to organize or develop on a wider basis. Of course, there's always different forms of fighting back, also throughout slavery, there's different slave movements. But after slavery, there's different forms, and eventually it starts to coalesce into a wider movement, a wider basis. So we see a movement of the free black masses taking place. And in 1914, an organization is formed, the United Negro Improvement Association, which was headed by Marcus Garvey, also known as the Back to Africa movement. It's something that people probably have heard of. And this is probably the biggest black nationalist movement in the history of the US.
Now she said the UNIA was the biggest black nationalist movement.
Facts.
In the United States.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Let's continue.
Organization itself had hundreds of thousands, potentially even millions of Black Americans enrolled and kind of part of this movement, this organization. It was a huge operation. It ran businesses and employed thousands of people. They would
ran businesses, employed thousands of people.
That's right.
Let's go.
Hold huge rallies aimed at raising the cultural level, instilling black pride amongst the masses. And these would be huge affairs, big parades that would take place through the streets. And they also, of course, put forward this idea of a black state run by black people for black people in Africa. But that movement came to failure. It came to failure with entirely reactionary consequences and conclusions, the kind of attempt to create an alternative black ruling class in a different country.
Hold on, wait a minute, Black Son. Did she
go.
say an alternative black ruling class? Is that what she said?
Yes, sir.
I'll be damned. Let's continue.
And the reason it came to a failure is because the movement, the leadership of the movement was thoroughly petty bourgeois in its outlook. In fact,
oh, what? It's too many gems. She said the leadership was what?
Petty bourgeois. God damn. Yang hates that word.
Marcus Garvey.
Let's continue. Let's continue, man.
Garvey saw communism and Marxism as an enemy to black people and danger to black workers, and he made speeches to that effect. But what was this? What did that movement represent? Trotsky described the nationalism of the oppressed as the outer shell of an immature Bolshevism, which means that there can be a progressive element to nationalism. And so what you had with Marcus Garvey, with this Back to Africa movement, was the mass politicization suddenly of one of the most oppressed layers in American society being swept into politics for the first time, directly challenging the state. And this did represent an important step forward. We can describe Garveyism as a kind of radical rejection of a society that is rejecting themselves. That is how we can understand it. This unleashing of black pride and cultural level, which was an important part of it. In Garvey's extreme, it was a kind of reactionary racial purity, which is what he stood for. But for the masses, it's a different thing. It's a general awakening and step forward in the process. So this organization, the UNIA, was massive and did have a big base. But there were other elements that developed in this period too. When you have a mass politicization of a wide base of society, it doesn't just all go in one specific direction. So there was another organization that formed at this time, a much smaller one, in 1919, called the African Blood Brotherhood. And the African Blood Brotherhood were born out of radical thinkers in Harlem, Black thinkers, people like Cyril Briggs, Claude McKay, Harry Haywood. These people went on to form the core leadership of the African Blood Brotherhood. And they were a much smaller organization. They were focused underground. It was a bit secret. There's various different reports on how many members they actually had, a few thousand here and there. And in their writings, also at the start, they also talk about the demand for a Black nation state. And this is understandable. Again, we have to take the context of the period in which these people were living and writing and fighting, where there was daily threats, physical threats against their safety. But within a few years, following the impact of the Russian Revolution in particular, you see these layers moving decisively towards socialism and towards the Communist International as a whole.
What did she say, Black Sun? She said after the Bolshevik Revolution, they got inspiration and joined the Communist International. Let's go.
Part of what inspired these people, these young Black radical thinkers coming out of Harlem, was the Bolsheviks and their fight against anti-Semitism, which they saw as comparable to the situation that Black people were facing in America. And they saw what the Bolsheviks did in fighting against it, and this mighty worker state that then comes to power, which had prominent Jewish leaders within it. And they were inspired by that, and they wanted the same thing to take place in America. So you have these different groups, these different ideas that are erupting at this time, the UNIA with Marcus Garvey on one side, and also the African Blood Brotherhood on the other, which, as I said, was still small. And they kind of start off, these two different organizations, with somewhat friendly criticisms towards each other. They kind of, I think even the African Blood Brotherhood, Claude McKay specifically, said at one point that he still supported what Garvey was doing because it was politicizing the Black masses on an important level. But as time goes on, a clearer class distinction develops between these organizations, a clearer class outlook in terms of what do they base themselves on. And as that distinction becomes clearer, the criticisms become less friendly. Garvey becomes much more anti-communist. I think Marcus Garvey actually accused Cyril Briggs of being secretly white at one point. He's really stoking up the tensions, because the African Blood Brotherhood did win over certain sections, certain people from that movement. But I would say this, as I said, this wasn't a theoretical dispute. It was the Black nationalism, and there was Black nationalism, of course, the African Blood Brotherhood, there's Black nationalism there. But I would say that the Black nationalism of the African Blood Brotherhood had a different class content to what you saw with the Marcus Garvey organization. And they showed that, they proved that they had a different class content, because they all went on to join the Communist Party. They were international.
They did what? They joined the Communist Party.
Negro Reds.
The Negro Reds.
Mm-hmm.
While Garvey was pushing Black nationalism up under capitalism. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Nationalists inspired by the Russian Revolution and the Comintern, and what the Comintern, the Communist International, was trying to build across the world. And I would say that their internationalism came precisely from the fact that they had a much more proletarian base, and consciously they were concentrated on the proletariat and the working class. And so what you had was the entire core of the African Blood Brotherhood joins the Communist Party. And as I said, they're inspired by the Comintern. The fact that they joined the Communist Party is almost secondary. They saw what Lenin and the Bolsheviks were doing, and they said, I want to be a part of that. Okay, so I've got to join the American Communist Party. This is the way forward. There's an essay by Cyril Briggs, one of the key leaders of the African Blood Brotherhood, where he's kind of responding to the Western propaganda that was being put out, damaging the Bolsheviks, saying they were evil people who are against democracy. And
the first Red Scare. Let's go.
And in this essay, Cyril Briggs talks about, the kind of the nonsense that is bourgeois democracy, the wars, the poverty. And he says, is this the democracy to which the spread of Bolshevism is a menace? Then may God advance the spread of Bolshevism throughout Europe, Asia, and Africa, and in every country where oppression stalks. So that just gives you a flavor of the way in which these people were influenced and the move in which they were going. So the African Blood Brotherhood, they joined the Communist Party, but the Communist Party wasn't necessary. The Communist Party still had I would say it had a bad position when it came to Black liberation, when it came to racism. They had the wrong position at this time. The Communist Party in America had come out of a split with the Socialist Party, which under its previous leadership had taken a neutral stance on racism. It was this idea that they didn't need to do anything special to advance the cause of Black liberation. Socialism will deal with it once the revolution has taken place. And this is wrong. That is not the way to approach the liberation of any oppressed group. So
she said that's wrong.
Yeah.
So you're talking about socialism. Basically, you're talking about capitalism light.
Right.
Capitalism light. You know, we still want to make money, but we want to make sure everybody else got a little something. Nah,
Right.
she's saying, nah, that ain't gonna work.
No.
It's Bolshevism or nothing at all. Let's go. That's
right.
The Communist Party initially did not take up in a significant way the Black struggle and the struggle of the Black masses. It is only after Lenin, actually he directs the Communist Party in America to do so, that we see a shift. In fact, Lenin writes to the Communist Party in 1921, and he asks, why do their reports not include anything to do with the Black workers and the Black masses? And he's asking them, isn't this an important question for the class struggle in America? And he puts that question to them and encourages them and says, you need to consider this work. And in the next year, there's a thesis that's adopted on the Negro question at the fourth Congress, which states very clearly, this is 1922, the international struggle of the Black race is a struggle against capitalism and imperialism, and the international Black movement must be organized on that basis. It goes on. The Fourth Congress considers it essential to support every form of the Black movement that either undermines or weakens capitalism or places barriers in the path of its further expansion. The Communist International will utilize all the means available to it to compel the trade unions to take Black workers into their rights, or where the right already exists in form, to make special efforts to recruit Blacks into the trade unions. And if this proves to be impossible, the Communist International will organize Blacks in their own trade unions and make special use of the United Front tactic in order to force the general unions to admit them. Now, this is very significant. This is very advanced as well in terms of the struggle for Black liberation. And we have to understand what they're getting at the end there with this idea of Black unions.
Now, keep in mind, this is the period of the New Deal, when unions started to form and all of that stuff under FDR. So
Sure.
the Bolsheviks were in full, I guess you would say, infiltration mode when it came to what they saw that FDR was doing in progressive action in the United States. Keep that in mind.
Yep.
Look, when oppressed people or people from oppressed backgrounds enter into politics, they may well do so first through their own organizations, especially if and when the official labor movement is obstructing them, which in the case of America in the labor movement at that time, it was doing so. And we are not opposed to that. Of course, it would be entirely ridiculous to oppose Black workers trying to organize and say you have to just, passively wait for the labor movement to sort itself out. That is not the position that you take in that situation. But the point is, you have to look at what's happening on the ground, and we have to look at the concrete conditions. What we are opposed to is taking specific examples of where it has been necessary and making a principle out of it and applying it to everything that's come afterwards. In fact, it clearly states in that thesis at the end, if we are to organize Black-only unions, it should be used as a tactic to force the general unions to admit them. And why is that? It's because it is not possible, if you are a minority, to form your own union to take on the bosses, any more than the Bolsheviks would have been able to overthrow capitalism in Russia if they had based themselves on only one minority group at that time. And this is what the African Blood Brotherhood recognized, and what I'm hopefully going to come.
So basically what she just said is you can't fight quote unquote capitalism with Black nationalism. It can't be done.
Right.
According to what she said.
Yep. Noted.
Come on to show many Black radical thinkers have recognized in the course of the struggle. Cyril Briggs said it himself. He said the Negro population is just too small to fight by themselves. So can a Black-only organization overthrow capitalism in America? I think the answer is no. But we want to go on to kind of see how these ideas developed across the history of the Black struggle in America and other places. Because at a certain point, this idea, this kind of embryonic idea that was always sort of there for a separate Black nation state in a lot of the early ideas of Black nationalism in America, at a certain point, this idea becomes a key question for the communist movement. And after initially taking a weak approach, a bad approach to the question of Black workers, in 1928, the Communist Party in America, they kind of transform and they go in the complete other direction, and they adopt a policy of self-determination for the Black Belt. I'm going to go on to explain what they meant by this. The first thing is that the Communist Party, when they changed their policy on Black...
Now, let me stop it right there real quick. Ask you a question, Black Son. What is self-determination? Is self-determination a individualist ideology or a collective ideology?
Individualist idea.
Okay. All right. That's all I want to know. Let me continue.
Black workers, they didn't suddenly become a Black nationalist organization. They were trying to, in a kind of distorted way, apply, in some respects, the method of Lenin. A lot of people take small writings, small footnotes that Lenin has in different writings on different issues, where he talks about Black people in America as potentially being an oppressed nation, and they take these small inklings and then exaggerate it to force a certain policy through. So they change their kind of position, and they apply this policy, I would say, in a formalistic and one-sided manner. Lenin dies in 1924, so this is a few years after Lenin. And in 1928, they advocate that Black people constitute an oppressed nation within a nation, and therefore the right to self-determination applies. And it's not all down to Stalin. This is also when Stalin has kind of taken control of the Comintern, although he pushes, the general opportunism throughout all of these parties. Other figures, Harry Haywood, we can't detract from these people, were key proponents in trying to push the party to adopt the Black Belt thesis. I think it's actually Haywood who puts it forward at the Comintern meeting, which was actually opposed by some of the other Black delegates. But
remember, in Color, Communism, and Common Sense, and also Anarchy USA, they talked about the Black Belt, where the Communist Party at that particular time was trying to say that all Black people should have control of basically the South, is what it was.
Yep,
but they called it the Black Belt theory.
Yep.
Let's continue.
Nevertheless, it goes through, and that's the policy that they adopt. So we can't retrospectively declare or project onto the masses, right? Was there a mass demand for a nation state at that time? There probably was demand, some small demand in different layers for some kind of nation state. As I said, these ideas were percolating around. And clearly Marcus Garvey, in a general sense, and his organization did have a significant base. But as I said earlier, that movement, Garvey's movement, ended in totally reactionary consequences. Very few people went to Africa under Garvey's movement. And actually a lot of workers at that point were more interested in fighting for democratic rights within America rather than uprooting their lives and moving to somewhere far away in Africa. So what was wrong with the Black Belt thesis? Why is it formalistic? Why was it one-sided? The Communist Party went too far because they tried to then specifically locate exactly where the Black nation could be, and say then to
Wow.
millions of black workers, no, this is where you must go. In fact, I think they ended up having a different policy for the North and the South. It becomes completely detached from what was actually possible and what was necessary and progressive for the struggle at that moment, conflating the right to self-determination with immediate separation. So they kind of adopt this formalistic policy. But at the same time, they've turned to the black workers in a significant way. And so they do make inroads. And a lot of black workers turned to the Communist Party and joined them in this time. The Soviet Union at this period was a beacon of light to oppressed people all over the world.
Beacon of
and the
light.
Communist Party in America, if you will, kind of just rode that wave in a significant manner. And that is how a lot of these people joined. However, the Communist Party does not maintain this base. In fact, it completely loses it. The Communist Party, again, under the direction of Stalin, it begins to move in a right-wing direction. From 1919 to 1934, the Communist Party in America had never supported the Republicans or the Democrats. But then this begins to change, and you see support for Roosevelt and the Democrats for the majority of his presidency. The Communist Party actually, for a brief period, dissolves itself and becomes a political association, a kind of a pressure group.
And it was under who? Stalin.
Yep.
Let's continue.
Group for the Democrats, effectively. That gives you a mindset of the way in which the Communist Party had started to move. They reconstituted themselves 2 years later, but it shows that their kind of tail ending of the Democrats started a very long time ago. And so many black communists left the party in complete disgust at the opportunism and the reformism that was developing amongst them. And so I think we can say that we can place part of the resurgence of black nationalism in the opportunism and the prejudices that existed within the Communist Party and the rot that existed in the Communist Party. Black-only organization, or the desire for a black-only organization, is partly the result of the labor movement and the so-called communist movement selling out black workers in a disgusting manner. There's a reason why I think Stokely Carmichael talks about black power and he says, yeah, we can work with other, radical white allies, but we can't let them into the movement, because there had been a whole host of people who had betrayed so-called white radical allies. So we can understand where that desire then comes from. Now, that was the position of the Communist Party. They kind of zigzag in an opportunist manner, and then they eventually they take away the black belt thesis from their program. And I want to say that Trotsky had a different approach at this time. He had a different approach to the Stalinists, and the writings we have from Trotsky in this period are from the early 1930s, based on a discussion that he is having with some followers of Trotsky's, the Trotskyists who are trying to counterpose the communists, the Stalinists. And the American Trotskyists, they write to him, they're pointing out, isn't there like opportunism evident in the Communist Party's position? Isn't this wrong? We shouldn't be advocating for the separate nation state. Aren't we internationalists? We're Marxists, we're against barriers. Shouldn't we be arguing in a different way? But Trotsky says, hold on a minute, right? He says very clearly that the right to self-determination is a democratic demand. And if it is the will of the black masses, then we must actually fight against imperialism decisively so they can be free. But he says it's a question of their consciousness. And he also says, I know very little about the situation on the ground. But what can we get from those writings is how Trotsky's trying to approach the situation. First and foremost, he's saying, what is in the consciousness of the masses? That is what we have to base ourselves on. So I think there are some people who they take those writings from Trotsky and they misunderstand a kind of a tentative idea based on extremely limited information, and then take a mechanical view that we can just copy and paste. Well, if Trotsky said in the 30s that a separate nation state is possible, then we should still continue that today. I don't think.
So basically that answered your question that you had before, Black Son, about the different ideologies.
Right.
When it comes to
factions.
Marxism and the Trotsky.
Yep.
Obviously, the way she talking, she wasn't rocking with Stalin. She was more in the thought process of Trotsky.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't rock with Trotsky either, but we'll say that for another show.
Right. Let's continue.
All right.
that's the case. We take the method that he was using to understand what is the most progressive way, what's the most revolutionary way to take things forward. And that is the method that we take today when looking at the struggle for Black workers and for Black liberation. But then coming into the 60s and 70s, you have the civil rights movement in America, which is credited with the removal, obviously, of formal racial barriers. And the first thing to say is this era produced some of the most well-known and respected fighters for Black liberation. But the civil rights movement was not an isolated struggle. It didn't just appear out of the Black masses alone. There was a global struggle taking place in this period. The 60s and 70s saw heightened class struggle. As the capitalist boom ended and class struggle is firmly on the agenda. In May 68 in Mexico, the Troubles, anti-Vietnam, the civil rights movement and the movement of the Black masses in America is part of that entire process. So we can't talk about Black nationalism in the US and what it produced without paying special attention to Malcolm X. Now, I think we can say Malcolm X in his time represented the most advanced element of the struggle for Black liberation. He was uncompromising, unapologetic, and a fighter. And as a result, he resonated with huge swathes of the Black population. You know, he famously wanted to fight racism by any means necessary, which was different to the middle class approach of certain Black leaders who wanted a kind of more softly way to do it. But Malcolm X, undoubtedly, he was a Black nationalist for a large part of his life as a leader within the Nation of Islam group. He says at some point something along the lines of, if you're afraid of Black nationalism, you're afraid of revolution. That is how he saw it. It was a driving force for a huge part of his early years. And I would say even at that point, that Black nationalism is not the same as the Black nationalism of Marcus Garvey. It's still reflecting a different class and a different process, because Malcolm X based his nationalism on the poor urban Black population in Harlem, places like this. He had no time for the Black middle class. And then eventually he splits with the Nation of Islam over hypocrisy and corruption and various other things. A lot happens, but I want to concentrate very specifically on the last year of his life, which is important for us to understand and study as Marxists. Because in the last year of his life, he tours different African countries. And it's in that movement, in that process, we see him move away from nationalism to an internationalist outlook. And he says, this is a man who, you know, spoke a lot about the white devil and fighting the whites in a very, aggressive, clear way, which resonated with all the violence that's taking place. But then towards the end of his life, he says, it is incorrect to classify the revolt of the Negro as simply a racial conflict of Black against white, or as purely an American problem. We are today seeing a global rebellion of the oppressed against the oppressor, the exploited against the exploiters. There's another even better quote in an interview with a socialist magazine, again in the last year of his life, when he was asked about his tour of African countries. And by the way, it's when he's touring his African countries, he meets a revolutionary. I can't remember which country. It's a country in North Africa, who he describes as white. And he says, I'm kind of faced with this white revolutionary and thinking, but this guy's also fighting for revolution. And it's.
Who's she talking about, Black Sign?
Who's she talking about?
You remember Anarchy USA? Remember the Algerian Revolution?
Yeah, the Algerian guy. Yep. I'm remembering that.
That's who Malcolm X. That's who Malcolm X met with.
I'm trying to see if she's gonna really. She's missing a very significant part of why. I mean, she said half of it, but the other half I'm surprised her being a communist. She left it out, but
Well, give us a quick synopsis, real quick. Because, I said, she's running through a timeline.
Yeah, she did. No, she's doing a good job. However, she left out one thing that she left out. The Nation of Islam was not a Black nationalist group. You know, they were more of a Islamic nationalist group. You know what I'm saying? Just like you got Christian nationalists, you got Black Islamic nationalists. That's what Nation of Islam was. Now, the difference between Marcus Garvey's nationalism and Malcolm X's Black nationalism is that Malcolm X, even though he was a Muslim, he didn't make it a requirement. everything before Malcolm X, you had to be sometime. You either had to be a black Christian nationalist or a black Muslim nationalist. It was a religious element. So basically, a theocratic element to it. He said, no, that's not necessary. He was the first black person to say that's not necessary. He's the first black person to be anti-theocratic in the black nationalism. He's basically the father of modern day black nationalism.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't think that's the context in which she trying to bring it. Obviously, she pushing a communist agenda. So I think that she didn't go in too deep into that.
Well, it's
She
kind of
just
sad because this actually comes from Malcolm X himself. He said you don't have to be, you don't have, he said it himself. You don't have to be a Christian or a Muslim to be a black nationalist. So no, that's something Malcolm. I quoted Malcolm himself saying that. That's not me saying that. That's Malcolm saying that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's cool, but I mean, I think in the context of how she's speaking, like, and the timeline that she's going, like, she's actually like putting what she's saying in the context to the topic, if that makes sense.
No.
Know what I mean?
No. She is, but I think I'm just saying, just from what I've studied on Malcolm, that small element. Well, people that consider that small, it's actually a large element that a lot of people it go over people's heads because a lot of people, especially people who are religious, they will either ignore it or dismiss it, but that's a very significant part, and people don't understand that, and that's why he fell out with the Nation of Islam, because they were trying to enforce Islamic values along with black nationalism, and Malcolm said, no, you can't do that. So I mean,
I can see how you could tie that into communism, because communism was very atheist. So I get what you're saying. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
why I said I was kind of surprised she didn't bring that in, because I mean, that's kind of weird. But okay, but go ahead.
I won't say atheist. That's a bad word to use. I won't say atheist. I'll just say very, very neutral when it comes to religion. You know what I'm saying? I won't necessarily say atheist, because I don't think the name was necessarily atheist. Because I mean, you had Jews and you had all type of ethnic groups. You know what I'm saying? But they were neutral when it came to religion. Hell, they were neutral when it came to every damn thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this. They were very anti-theocratic. Is this safe to say that? Most of the communists they're very anti-theocratic.
I mean, the reason I said neutral, I ain't gonna say anti-theocratic either. The reason I say neutral is because you had religious people that were in the movement. Like you had Jews that were Bolshevik.
No.
So it can't be anti-theocratic, because within their own confines, Jews were very theocratic. But it was only within their own confines.
But
it wasn't in the political system.
But MD, wouldn't that contradict okay, so the overall agenda of a theocracy is to establish a theocratic government. So wouldn't that be in conflict with the communist movement? I mean, and that's what Malcolm X was saying. He was saying you can be a Christian, you can be a damn atheist, you can be a goddamn you can be a Muslim, you can be a Christian, you can be an atheist to be a black nationalist, because black nationalism controls your economics and your governance. Your religion is your personal. So the minute you say they were theocratic, they're trying to establish it as a government, and
I disagree with that, because, like I said, it's not you placing those values in your home.
No.
Theocratic government.
No, theocracy is a government. No, government, like governments. That's why I was telling Apex, no, you do not want the government being, you don't want a theocracy, because basically.
But I'm telling you, they didn't want a theocracy. I'm telling you that. But they were very theocratic in their values. They were Jews at the end of the day. Not all of them, but a lot of them. A lot of Bolsheviks were very religious in their Orthodox Jew, not Orthodox, in their particular religion as being Jew. Very.
Okay, no.
But I say it was neutral because they didn't bring it to the political atmosphere. That's called being neutral.
Yeah, but you can't be
I
neutral.
can't say anti. So how were they doing it then? They did it.
No. Again, you gotta listen to Malcolm X. He said, listen, this is what I'm saying. And this is what the damn Jewish Bolsheviks did too. And this is what Malcolm did. Your religion is part of your personal belief, your personal governments. Like if you govern your family, that's fine. When you say theocratic, you're taking it outside of your house and then establishing a government over a nation. That's what a theocracy is. So you can't be
I mean,
both.
we're saying the same thing. I don't
Oh,
understand
okay.
where the I don't understand where the it's like, yeah, I mean, and to what she's saying is really of non importance. Like I said, the very fact that you had ethnic Jews that were
Right.
very devout
Right.
in them being Jewish.
Okay.
They were very theocratic in their home. You can't take away from that. They were very theocratic in their own communities. They took the theocracy out of their values and placed it directly into the Communist Party. So in that aspect, they were neutral when it came to religion. You also you had gypsies, you had all type of people. They were neutral in their position when it came to religion in the Communist Party. That's why I wouldn't say anti. You can't be anti-theocratic because you had people that had theocracy all within their value. Even though it wasn't part of the government, I get that part.
So then why you
But it
have
was part of their everyday. It was part of their everyday values of life. Like you can't get around that.
okay, but
Can't get
even
around.
during yeah, but I mean, it's kind of complicated because even during the Bolshevik Revolution, all the way up to Stalin, anything that posed a threat to the communist rule, they like burned books and shit. They were like, yo, this is contrary to, like, okay, especially Stalin. Anything that deemed any type of governmental establishment, he had destroyed.
But again, you would have to talk to a communist at that particular time. I don't know how it worked. I'm just telling you it worked. You never heard of any religious indoctrination in the Communist Party, and you had plenty of people that was religious.
Okay, shout out
Plenty
to
of them.
Yami. He said Henry Hubert was Harrison was the first to say we need to remove religion. Hey, and Yami, join the panel, man. Join the panel.
Yeah, like I said, I ain't here to give a method on how they did it. I just know they did it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, hell, she even said that the Bolshevik part of the Bolshevik revolution was fighting anti-Semitism because a lot of the Bolshevik leaders were Jewish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't get around it. Now when it comes to Stalin, maybe Stalin switched a whole lot of shit up. Maybe, I don't know.
Right.
But when it comes to the Bolsheviks, the true Bolsheviks, they were neutral when it came to religion, and a lot of them was highly religious. A lot of them.
Right. Well, so was Malcolm. Malcolm was neutral too. He'll tell you he's a Muslim,
Okay.
but that was not his. Okay, I guess we saying the same thing because, like I said,
Yeah, we saying the same thing.
okay.
But I'm saying neutral is not the same as anti. Anti is throwing that shit away and no, you can't do it. It wasn't like that. It was neutral.
Yeah, but didn't Mao and Stalin burn like religious books at one point?
I like I said, Stalin and the Bolsheviks, two different people. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Stalin was on some more shit.
So was Mao Zedong.
So, yeah, Mao, yeah. But Mao.
I'm getting Mao and Stalin confused with the Bolsheviks. I think that's what's happening with me.
Yeah, that's what I think. Because, like I said, you had plenty. Even during Stalin time, actually, you had Jewish contemporaries. You know what I'm saying? But hey, but let's continue with the video.
All right.
Starts to make him think in a slightly different way, and he says, I had to do a lot of thinking and reappraising of my definition of Black nationalism.
This is Malcolm X.
He says, can we sum up the solution to the problems confronting our people as Black nationalism, then he leaves it open. And then he says, and if you've noticed, I haven't been using the expression for several months. So consciously, he starts to not even use the term Black nationalism. He forms a different organization when he comes back from Africa in America in 1964. It was called the Organization for Afro-American Unity. And at the opening rally of that organization, he says, I haven't changed. I just see things on a broader scale. We nationalists used to think we were militant. We were just dogmatic. It didn't bring us anything. Now I know it's smarter to say, you're going to shoot a man for what he is doing to you than because he is white. Now, this is a clear departure and a clear transformation in the way in which he's approaching the question. And what happened? Malcolm X's ideas evolved on the basis of viewing the struggle from an internationalist perspective. And how did he reach that internationalism? It's because he was already based in a much more proletarian outlook. The two things are connected. And I think now we can return to what the Communist International's theses said in 1922. They said it's the task of the Communist International to show blacks that they are not the only people that suffer the oppression of imperialism and capitalism. The workers and peasants of Europe, Asia, and America are also victims of imperialist exploiters. In India and China, in Iran and Turkey, in Egypt and Morocco, the oppressed colored people are mounting a heroic defense against the imperialist exploiters. These people are rising up against the same outrages that drive blacks to fury: racial oppression, social and economic inequality, intensive exploitation in industry. These people are fighting for the same goals as blacks, for political, economic, and social liberation and equality. And that is what Malcolm X was beginning to understand. I can't stand here and tell you that Malcolm X was a committed Marxist or anything like this. That would be wrong. All I can do is use his words and his life to show that a process was taking place where he was moving towards a class outlook, a proletarian outlook, and an internationalist one, which is different from nationalism. And he's obviously
real quick, Black Son. Hey, we almost done. We got like 16 minutes left. Who you got? Who you got winning the fight so far?
Wait, what?
I said, who you got winning the fight? I'm actually joking, but I'm saying who you got winning the fight so far.
Oh, I mean, it depends. I mean, when you talk about the Yanga, which side they're gonna choose, I don't know. But I mean, when you talk about just ideology between nationalism and communism, I mean, shit. I mean, damn.
All right, man. I'm just joking with you, man. Look.
I know.
All right, let me continue, man. Let me continue.
He's assassinated then. That's not a coincidence that a lot of these thinkers, the more radical they become, they are assassinated. And 1 year after Malcolm X is assassinated, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense is set up. Malcolm X had unleashed a revolutionary kind of desire amongst the Black youth in particular. I think we could say the Black Panther Party took up the baton, if you want, in the best traditions of Malcolm X. The Black Panthers were also uncompromising, and they knew the seriousness of their struggle. It wasn't a kind of an easy thing that they were doing on the side. Huey Newton, in his autobiography, this book, which is called Revolutionary Suicide, and it's called that because they recognized that you might die if you take up this struggle, but they were willing to give everything they had to do so. And I think, just as a side, the current Black Lives Matter's leaders, if we can even identify them as leaders, pale in comparison to what that period had produced and the attitude and the seriousness with which they approached it. So I've said Malcolm X, in one man, his journey from nationalism to internationalism, we saw that take place. But we also see the same process amongst the Black Panthers and their approach and their position. In fact, I would say you can see that process even from the earliest days in terms of the logic of what they were trying to fight for. You can see that process in the 10-point program that the Black Panther Party produced. The Black Panther Party's program It starts saying, you know, we want freedom, we want power to determine the destiny of our Black and oppressed communities. It starts off by saying we want jobs, we want control for our community, for Black people specifically. But then as you move on through point 1, 2, 3, 4, it starts to widen out to more oppressed people. They say we want completely free healthcare for all Black and oppressed people. We want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of Black people, other people of color, all oppressed people in the United States, which includes the poor whites. We want an immediate end to all wars of
Includes the poor whites.
Right.
aggression. That's not even just to do with America. And it goes on and on and on. And the final point, point number 10, they say we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, peace, and people's community control of modern technology.
Now check this part out.
So in the space of one single program, there's a movement from democratic demands to the desire for a planned economy, effectively. And
Did she just say a planned economy?
Yep, she did. Yep.
Did I not, in my presentation during my debate, say what a planned or a centralized economy is?
You did.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying. Does Yanga know what a planned economy is?
We'll have to ask Shanga, but I know there's some other people who don't know. But yeah, we're gonna have to ask Shanga. We're gonna have to
Let me play that part. Buff that.
justice, peace, and people's community control of modern technology. So in the space of one single program, there's a movement from democratic demands to the desire for a planned economy, effectively, and people's control, a socialist planned economy, even the embryonic idea that's within that, people's control over clothes, housing,
She said it, I didn't.
Infrastructure, industry. We're seeing a logical process develop within that program. And this is a key feature of a lot of Black nationalist movements and nationalist movements in general in the way that they progress. What makes the nationalism of the oppressed people in society? What makes the nationalism of the oppressed progressive?
One more quick question. In a planned economy, can you own your own land?
In a planned economy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sure? Because I don't want to play it back because she said by the people. What's people? What is the people mean?
Oh, no. Hold up. Okay, when I'm thinking plan of economy, I'm thinking about capitalism. When you talk about
that's
shit,
not a planned economy. Planned economy is centralized economy. Centralized economy is for the people. We know for the people mean.
Oh, no, you can't. No. Oh, wait. Inyami said you can. Inyami? Oh, shit.
Man. Inyami, you're capping. You're capping. You know what that means. You're capping, sir. But in any event, let's go.
Is the class content, because there is a reactionary side to nationalism, which comes from a nationalism that just looks at all classes in society as one big block, and that's not how we look at it. But the best elements within nationalist movements have also recognized that. Fred Hampton recognized that the Black vanguard needs to be united with the rest of the working class. And there will be a Black vanguard that develops.
What happened?
Yeah, man, if you're going to challenge, jump on the panel, man.
Let me go back. He say, do you want to put money on? Oh, he giving pushback on the planned economy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Stick around. We almost done. Stick around. I'm gonna let you up as soon as we finish. Give me a sec.
And was developing. Trotsky, as early as the 20s and the 30s, he says, and he's writing to Claude McKay. Claude McKay, by the way, who also left the Communist Party in America in complete disgust at Stalinism. He goes on to departure Marxism entirely. But actually, a lot of Black radicals do this on the basis of the betrayals of Stalinism. And Claude McKay asked Trotsky if they could form a Black section in the Red Army, and Trotsky responds and says, "Okay, let's see what can take place." But Trotsky, when writing to Claude McKay, says it is of the utmost importance today, immediately, to have a number of enlightened, young, self-sacrificing Negroes, however small their number, filled with enthusiasm for raising the material and moral level of the great mass of Negroes, and at the same time mentally capable of grasping the identity of interests and the destiny of the Negro masses with those of the masses of the whole world, and in the first place with the destiny of the European working class. That is the approach that we have to take. So, as I said at the start, Black nationalists in the US have also strongly identified with the colonial revolutions. And when you talk about Black nationalism, there can be a lot of overlap and sometimes confusion, I would say, on what you were speaking about. But we can't conflate it all into one.
Say?
Martin Delaney.
Oh, yeah.
Thing. I think we can say Black nationalism is quite specifically a US phenomenon in terms of where it came from and how it's developed. And the colonial revolutions were different. Nonetheless, these Black radicals were drawn to the struggles. If you're a young Black person in America and you want to fight against capitalism and you see wars of independence in Angola and Algeria and all these countries, of course you identify with that struggle and want to be a part of it, because the colonial revolutions had an enormous impact, not just as an inspiration for what a movement could be, but inspiration for what a different society could look like all together. Millions of people were involved in throwing off the shackles of imperialism. These movements shook the foundations of imperialism and therefore capitalism within Africa. And in some countries, what came out of this was different parties, different leaders who kind of took up this banner in various ways. And
Different
the masses
dictators.
learned through the struggle. There was a first round of decolonization after World War II, where colonial administrations were replaced with kind of pro-imperialist governments, bourgeois governments, and this drove the anti-colonial movement further to the left, highlighting that formal independence was not synonymous with genuine emancipation. In Ethiopia, in Somalia, in Burkina Faso, they abolished capitalism. These movements were moving to the left very, very quickly. And you have certain leaders that came out of this, obviously Nkrumah in Ghana, Toure in Guinea, French Guinea, Lumumba in Congo, all of these kind of anti-imperialist figures who were moving towards the left. And in some places were even nationalizing huge swathes of industry. What happened was in the fight.
She said during these revolutions, they were what? Even nationalizing certain parts of industry. We all know what that means. Stop playing game. We know what that means. Let's go.
Against colonialism, the struggle for what were democratic reforms became a struggle against capitalism. And the imperialists were very concerned about this. They were worried that national liberation struggles could mutate into fully anti-capitalist socialist revolutions. They were conscious of that. And some figures even had that as their aim, and they were trying to move in that direction on the independence side, but they weren't sure how to get there. And I just want to highlight one example, which was the experience of Amilcar Cabral, who was an independence leader in Guinea-Bissau. He kind of went on this journey. And his organization called for the nationalization of all major enterprises, the establishment of a planned economy, fighting for socialism. And he very clearly understood the need and the role of the working class. The working class at this stage in this country were tiny, very, very, very small. The peasantry were a much larger force, as was the case in many other African countries at that time. And Cabral says himself, the peasantry are not a revolutionary force. He says they're not revolutionary, but they're a physical force, and we have to use them. In his writings, he says, you might be surprised that I'm saying they're not revolutionary, given that we've based a large part of our struggle on the peasantry, that we need them. But he says quite clearly from a political point of view, they aren't a revolutionary force, but a physical one. And he knew that there needed to be a working class that could lead a process in the country in order to actually solve the problems of capitalism, solve the problems of imperialism, those contradictions. The task of solving these issues falls on the shoulders of the working class. Agrarian, national, and political emancipation, that can only take place through the socialist revolution. And Cabral also, with this understanding of the working class and this proletarian outlook, is what also leads into his genuinely internationalist approach to the struggle and to fighting colonialism. He said, we have always clearly proclaimed that we never confuse the people of Portugal with Portuguese colonialism. And this thinking was very dangerous to the imperialists because he even directly appealed to the Portuguese soldiers that were placed in Guinea-Bissau to try and turn them against Portugal. He said to them, he wrote, "Portuguese soldiers, NCOs and officers, you know that your people who must struggle for freedom and democracy in their own land need your help. Your families, who mostly belong to the poor classes of Portugal, are longing for your return in order to ensure their future and the future of your fathers, mothers, sisters, brides, sons, and daughters. It is essential to act." He says, "Give up serving as tools of imperialism. Refuse to take up arms against the freedom and independence of a peaceful people. Bravely refuse to fight against our people." And he goes on and on with various other things. And he says, "Long live the peace, friendship, and cooperation between all peoples." This is obviously very dangerous for the imperialists and that thinking. And he was successful and he was correct in taking that approach. In April 1974, Cabral is unfortunately also assassinated. There's a common theme in a lot of these revolutions in Africa. The imperialists are kind of somewhat involved, but also other kind of political enemies. And a year after Cabral is killed, left-wing army officers stage an uprising in Portugal, which starts the Carnation Revolution. And that revolution in Portugal is what ends the colonial war and the wars that were taking place and ensures the independence of Portuguese colonies. The officers' uprising directly drew inspiration from the struggle that was already taking place in Guinea-Bissau, and directly from his approach and the approach that his organization took at that time. And this is why we say revolution in the West is of vital importance to these struggles, internationalism on a proletarian basis. Cabral even says quite clearly, "We think there is something wrong with the simple interpretation of the national liberation movement as a revolutionary trend." And it's because he could see and was predicting the problems that could take place after the colonial revolutions. He explains that the objective of the imperialists is to create a new bourgeoisie within these countries. And if they don't take that problem seriously, then we will see the restoration of capitalism. These countries in Africa, they used to be dominated by just one colonial power, whether it was Britain or Portugal or France. And now they are jointly exploited by world trade as a whole. You could say that they are even more enslaved than they were before because of the whole forces of world imperialism, capitalism are there, ready at their doorstep. So these incredible revolutions could only go so far on their own, not because there was a problem with the black masses or there was no desire to fight. It's the same in the case of many other revolutions that have taken place that have ultimately ended isolated, in the case of Russia and various other countries. The finest Marxist leadership cannot just save you from the material conditions that are forced in front of you in those countries. So we say revolution has to be international, not just in a symbolic way, not just a kind of feeble. African leaders today all talk about Pan-Africanism. It's a meaningless term to them. It's nonsense, and they use it as a cover for their policies. They use it as a cover for being shells.
She said, "What?"
Oh shit! Yeah, them fighting words right there. Oh shit! Them fighting words.
She said, "What?" Hold on. You little heifer, you said, "What?"
Symbolic way, not just a kind of feeble. African leaders today all talk about Pan-Africanism. It's a meaningless term to them. It's nonsense, and they use it as a cover for their policies. They use it as a cover for being shells of imperialism. You can kick imperialism formally out of your country, but it's not enough to do it on just that basis. This is exactly what happened in Congo with Lumumba. They got rid of Belgium. Belgium tries to kind of cause more problems in Congo by funding and helping a kind of secessionist group who are trying to destabilize the new independent government. And Lumumba called on the UN to help. The UN, an emblem of world imperialism. Did the UN help? No, the UN didn't help. They took control of communications. They blocked Soviet aid. They helped the people trying to destabilize the government. It's not enough to just get rid of formal independence. So what do we do about world imperialism or US imperialism or Belgium imperialism? How do we overthrow that? Well, we need the workers in those countries to get rid of their own ruling classes. The two things are entirely connected. This brings us back full circle. What is the most reactionary force on the planet? It's probably US imperialism. And what can stop it? It has to be the American working class. And what does that require? It requires the utmost unity of the American working class. I need to come to an end because I've gone over time. But I want to repeat something that was said yesterday, that the purpose of Marxism is to make conscious the unconscious striving of the working class for power. Racism is a poison that is consciously used by the ruling class to divide workers. Marx said very clearly in 1866, he said, labor in the white skin cannot emancipate itself where in the black skin it is branded. That is how we understand it. We need to be united to take things forward. However, it is true that the segregation, the division, the chauvinism of the labor movement and the communist movement has forced black workers to organize in many cases on their own terms first. And black nationalism came out of that process. But every time the black proletariat has made an organization of its own, without Marxists telling it to do so, it has turned to the rest of the working class, because the working class as a whole strives towards unity. And the best layers have always understood that. The best layers of nationalist movements have gone explicitly or implicitly towards Marxism. And what we're saying is make that explicit, Black nationalism has played a role in the history of black struggle, but it has not yet succeeded. Many people take up the banner of black nationalism today, including the black bourgeoisie.
You said what?
Black bourgeoisie. Yeah, but her brand of communism has failed too. So I'm just like, what are we talking about here?
Hey, that's why I put verses in there, then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm shaking my head right now. I'm just
you make the call. That's why I said verses.
Yeah. This is
let me let her finish.
Which makes the class question even more paramount and even more important. And we say, let's take the best elements. We don't have to take everything with us. If the most revolutionary elements of black nationalism have been those who base themselves on the proletariat and turn outwards, then it's the job of Marxists to continue that process. What should we be saying to radicalized young black people today? Is it to set up exclusive black-only organizations, even though they have never been capable of taking the masses forward in a significant way, in the way that really causes material change? It has to be to build a revolutionary party that unites the best layers. The vanguard has always moved towards class independence and class unity, and that is the tradition that we stand on. That is the tradition of Lenin, and that has been confirmed over the last 100 years.
There you go. So I pose the question again. Who won the fight?
Oh man, that's a tough one, because I would say neither one has won the fight. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a evolutionary process. Now, for the Marxists, I think they would lose the fight before the black nationalists, because black nationalists, even though there were some jewels that she dropped. However, it's like, I guess it's almost like arguing about water and oil. You know, you got two different substances. Water is good for some things, and water is good for some, and oil is good for some things. Now, as far as black nationalism, you know, like said, now we talking black capitalism. Yeah, on an individual basis, yeah, has been successful. So I don't know why she's trying to encroach this whole communalism thing, which is not. Bro, no. So who's the winner?
I wouldn't say she pushing communalism, because communalism is defined. I say she outright pushing communism. Outright.
Yeah, she is pushing communism outright. That's why I said, when she's saying like, okay, well, black nationalism didn't work, and I'm like, well, hell, communism didn't work. So what are we talking about here? And I'm talking every form of communism. I'm talking about Maoism, Trotskyism, Marx. All that shit ain't worked. So what do we?
What about Leninism?
That ain't worked either. No.
I would argue it did.
Huh?
I would argue it did in the context of that particular time period.
For that particular time period?
Yeah.
So
Now after Lenin died,
it died with him, right? It
it
died with
died
him.
with him. That's right.
So
Exactly.
so how is it winning? Because I think a system has to evolve with time and evolve with people's needs as things change. Like capitalism has evolved. It still strives today. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
So
You ain't gonna get no
so
argument from me.
so how would Leninism die when Lenin died? I mean, people could say, well, Kwame Ture, when what Kwame Nkrumah, when Kwame Nkrumahism died, or Kwame Nkrumah died, Kwame Nkrumahism died. So it's like I'm just like when I hear people make these claims, I scratch my head. I'm like, huh?
Right.
So yeah, because it to me it still has to be alive today. It can't just work for one time period and be a one hit wonder and then fade off into the sunset and be called a success. I don't think so.
Now let me play the antagonist.
Okay,
So
please.
I would assume that you lean more toward black nationalism, correct?
If I had a choice between communism and black nationalism, yeah, because I'm already familiar with black nationalism, because black nationalism and black capitalism are one and the same. It's just saying,
Okay, all right. I'm glad you answered my question already. I was gonna ask you.
okay,
So where in the context of a society does black nationalism take effect? You just answered it though. It's capitalism. As a matter of fact, I would give the win.
in fact, go ahead. I would
Oh
go as
no,
far
I'm
as to say it's individual black capitalism.
well, capitalism is individual. It's all on its own.
Okay,
But
so right, so you got black people practicing it. Oh, go ahead, MD.
no, I feel what you're saying. In the context of how she did her presentation, she killed it based off of bringing the facts out that black nationalism is in and of itself a part of capitalism.
Right, I agree with her on that, but oh man, see, it's kind of complicated because I done ran into people like her all the time. I ran into the Revolutionary Communist Party, man, and the agenda is so obvious. Like I said, if you be around these people, you can smell it like miles away. And so that's why I was just like, dude, like you can't sit up here and say that Marxism has won. Like she talking about, well, black nationalism had, it's not thriving. Okay, and neither is goddamn uh, Marxism. That's not thriving. So what are we talking about? Are we comparing apple? Are we comparing apples with apples?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't going that far with it. I mean,
I'm going,
I just look at it as she was presenting it was a debate, basically. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
but you got to see the end game though, MD. You got to see the end game of where they're going. I mean, even though, but where she was going with all this, and that's why I'm just like, I'm at the finish line, and I'm like, it's at the end of the day, MD. I mean, I know what you're saying, but at the end of the day, she's still trying to sell goddamn communism. At the end of the day,
Oh yeah, she was definitely trying to sell communism.
right?
Yeah, there ain't no doubt about that. But all I'm saying is she laid out the framework of black nationalism point by point throughout its whole timeline.
Yeah, she
and
did.
showed and showed you, number one, it's shrouded in capitalism. Number two, for real liberation that Negroes claim that they want, it can't be done through black nationalism. It's got to be done through communism. She just showed it. She just gave many examples of how black nationalists eventually succumbed to communism because they understood that was the only way for quote unquote real revolution. So, with that being said, though you may disagree with communism being a real working model, you can't dispute what she said. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going for. I call like I said, it's arenaism at this point. You're a
Right.
damn communist. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the same time, she's showing you, hey, look, this is what y'all Negroes spew out y'all mouth: racism, white supremacy, blah, 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 this and that. The racism, white supremacy is based on a particular class system. She said class like 1,000 times throughout
She
the
did.
whole damn
I agree with
presentation.
right. You don't hear no argument from me on that, bro. I agree with that. And you argue not only class but status all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna hear you're not gonna hear no argument from me. It just like I said, I guess I push too far ahead on the end game. Like, okay, what's the end game? I'm the type of person, a person where they debating or talking, explaining. I'm the type of person, man. Okay, let's get down to it. What's the end game? I don't want to hear all the middleman stuff. I want to hear, okay, what's your bottom line? You know what I'm saying? And at the end, but yeah, that's just me though. But
no, I get what you're saying. I'm not taking away from what you're saying. What I'm saying, and also let me make a correction. I'm not trying to correlate class with status. Class is a social aspect. Status is a political aspect. I'm not saying shit about classism. I don't give a shit about classism. I care about the status of my people politically. The hell with your social class. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
So, but I just pointed out that she said class 1,000 times because she was painting a picture of class versus class, not race versus race.
That's right. Yeah, that's a fact.
The class being the working class, the proletariat,
yes,
versus the petty bourgeoisie. You know what I'm saying? That's what she pushed.
Right.
And that's the same thing that Younger pushed. So logically speaking, if the ultimate war of attrition is class versus class, I know where that rhetoric comes from. Which one are you? Are you a black nationalist or are you a communist?
Right. Yeah, we need answers, Younger. We need answers, bro.
She just laid it out. I can't lay it out no more cleaner than how she just did it.
Right.
As a matter of fact, hell, she basically called you petty bourgeois, Younger. At the end of the day, do you accept that? Not only black nationalists, but hell, she called the same with Pan African. She said all y'all full of shit. That's what she said. I ain't say it. Don't get mad at me. She said all y'all full of shit. Y'all need to come and join the Revolutionary Communist Party and get with the real revolution. What you think about that? So she laid it out. Now it's up to you to decipher it and debunk it. All I did was play the video.
Yeah.
All I did was play the video. And in my humble opinion, she made valid points. Now in terms of black nationalism, how she view it, hell, I call myself a black nationalist. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I look at black nationalism as self-determination, self-reliance, based on the upliftment of my people and myself particularly, and rerouting and jumping around the obstruction of what we would say is racism, white supremacy, and not allowing it to conflate my political reality. That's how I view black nationalism. You may disagree.
No, I don't disagree. I think the way you articulated that, I think that's good. But now I guess it was just a shot from her, but it can encompass either the bourgeoisie or working class. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because it's still the reason why black son, because it still encompasses class. That's what she said. She said black nationalism, you still have a class system in black nationalism. You got to. That's basically what she said.
Right.
You still gonna have a ruling class. You still gonna have a working class.
Right.
If you still up under capitalism.
Yeah.
But ruling class, she make ruling class sound like it's something like an evil empire. Ruling class meaning that my position, my status within the society helps dictate the society. But this is the thing. I can go from the peasant class to the working class to the ruling class, all in the span of a generation. What other society can you do that?
Right.
You can't do it.
Right.
Ruling class meaning that I got it out the mud. I now have influence enough to create certain policy within the society, as I should.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no problem with that. But the communists got problems with that. If you
Right.
got a problem with that, you're a communist. Yanga. Period.
Somebody go get Yanga. Somebody go wake him up. He'll see this show. Yeah,
he'll see it.
Yeah, you know we're gonna have to revisit this, and you know Yang is gonna respond to this one. He gonna set aside all the other videos. He gonna address this one first. I already see it. Cause you know.
I got three questions that Yang need to answer. Number one, is there a class system in Black nationalism? Number two, what defines Black nationalism economically? Number three, what defines Black nationalism politically? I need to know them three. I need answers to them three questions in 48 hours. I need answers to them questions in 48 hours.
Yanga, come out to play. Yanga, come out to play. I'm sorry. What happened?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, man. I'm just, man. He's got I can't answer that for him, man. Like I said, the young lady, it was some things that I was disagreeing with her on, but it is what it is. But I mean, yeah, she was actually arguing the point for Black nationalism to me. But it's kind of weird because, like you said, her agenda, but oh man, I'm just, there's something you just can't watch one time and just be like, like I said, there's a couple of things that I'm just like, I don't know, but again, this was definitely a good presentation, man. I loved it.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, the next one I got for you, Younger, we're gonna break down this whole communalism spiel. What we're gonna do is,
that's gonna be hot.
We gonna break down African communalism, what that is. Then we're gonna bring it into the modern era, and we're gonna define modern communalism as defined by Bookchin, the creator of modern communalism. And we're gonna see if it's applicable to the society that we live in today. Because this is what you're trying to do, Yang. You're trying to bring communalism to a modern world. You're trying to separate, and not only communalism. Communalism is just that. It's a community-based society. You're trying to isolate now. Now all of us live all around the country. That means you're trying to isolate and basically quarantine pockets of Negroes all around the country, and expect for them to have their own type of ecosystem all around the country. That's what communalism is. Communalism is community-based society, isolating you from the rest of the world. So you telling me a city can have its own economy, its own infrastructure, its own social climate, its own legislation? I ain't going for it. I ain't doing it. I ain't going for it at all. Hey, let me ask you a question, Black Son. Let's say I live in communalist society north. You live in communalist society south.
Okay.
We probably about 15 miles away from each other.
Yeah.
I'm north, you south. We totally isolated. We got our own ecosystem going up here. Y'all got y'all own ecosystem going down there. We growing crops and doing all type of stuff. Y'all growing crops. Ain't nobody got no job.
Okay.
Our job is is what we can produce within the community. That's the job. It's mini socialism is what it is. What's gonna happen if the drought hit communalist society north, but don't hit communalist society south? What's gonna happen?
Crops are going to die, and
Our crops gonna die.
yeah,
And therefore, because again, we're isolated, we gonna die.
Right. Yeah.
Or
you're going to beg.
we beg hell, or we gonna invade communalist society south.
Yeah.
So Jaeger want to bring us back into African tribalism. That's what Yenga want.
Right. Black land.
Black land. You just hit the nail on the goddamn head.
Wait a minute. Hold up.
There has been too much violence, too much pain. None here without sin. But I have an honorable compromise. Just walk away. Give me the pump, the oil, the gasoline, and the whole compound, and I spare you lives. Just walk away. I will give you safe passage in the wasteland. Just walk away, and there will be an end to the horror.
Lord humongous.
Hey, that's what we're gonna tell communalist society south. Just walk away. just walk away. Give me the onions and the cabbage
and the corn
and we'll give you safe passage across black land. Just walk away. That's what Jaeger wants.
Give the collard greens and the yams, and we'll give you safe passage. Just walk away.
That's what Jaeger wants. Period.
And blue, and goddamn, don't forget goddamn Lex.
In 2023. In 2023, communalism is supposed to be what's going to save black folk.
Right.
No technological advancement. No nothing. Just communalism.
Yep.
You can't farm cell phones and combustion energy. Can't farm that type of shit. so we just supposed to
just walk away.
We're supposed to live like nomads in 2023.
You will get safe passage. Just leave the yams, leave the collard greens, leave your cornbread, leave everything, and we will give you safe passage. Just walk away.
Yeah,
let's put an end to the war and violence.
Yeah, put an end to it. Into it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what we're gonna break down in the next video. So that's what we're looking at. But this was a good video. Like I said, I hope,
sir, yes, sir.
I hope Jaeger truly sit down and dissect,
yes, sir,
this video. I hope he do, because I would like to hear what the argument is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now listen to this. She said damn, what happened?
Oh, my bad. Damn, my bad. Shit, that was me. I damn put Deacon thing up there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh shit. She said what? She said what percentage of black people are really upper class? Do we need help if it's that easy for us as individuals? What does that got to do with the upper class? What help do we need? See, and this is what I'm talking about. People construe, just like the communists did, what working class is. They consider working class as being some type of some type of low level. I don't want to say poor, but and don't get it twisted. You do have low level working class and you got what they call high level or they got middle
class,
upper upper and lower class.
Yeah.
But again, that's based on what the market is doing, the particular position you have. It's all type of factors go into that.
Right. And remember, we're in a mixed economy. So yeah, there's something.
Right. We're in a mixed economy. And also you have the ability to get yourself out of that. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say. It's called upward mobility. You know, I don't get it. What other society is there where you can jump from class to class? Name the society that can do that besides capitalism.
Oh wait, and y'all may say socialist ideology created the American middle class. Whoa, and y'all may whoa.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean, you got to jump on now, bro. You got to explain that. Nope, you got to explain that, in Yami.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can't give no explanation of that. So I mean, now what he's saying is, I could be wrong. I think what he may be saying is that socialist ideology created the middle class in terms of labor unions and shit like certain subsidies and shit like that. I think that's what he's talking about.
But the middle class is not monolithic, so I agree in a sense with labor. I agree in a sense, but again, in Yami, there's parts of America that's never seen any labor, like unions and all that stuff. So I can't agree with that. I think middle class was born out of, well, I want to even say, out of Reconstruction. Well, no, what would you say before Reconstruction?
Middle class was born when capitalism was born. Okay, that was even before America existed.
Okay, there you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, in order to have an industry, you got to have workers. You know what I'm saying? When capitalism existed, the working class existed. Period. That go all the way back to the French Revolution. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, but I think that's what Yame's saying. Yame's saying that socialist ideology created the American middle class, meaning the New Deal created the quote unquote middle class.
Oh, okay. I could kind of see his point, but again, the middle class is not monolithic, so
exactly.
I can kind of agree. I can only have
because the South wasn't rocking with no New Deal.
No,
stuff.
Hell no. Neither was neither was goddamn the West. Neither the West wasn't either. You know what I'm saying? That was mostly up north in your Midwest. Let me see what you know.
Exactly.
Working class and middle class are not the same. Oh shit, Yami, come on. You got to, man. I don't know if you got time, bro. You cooking. Working class and middle class.
I get it. I get his point. I
break it down, MD, because I think I know what he's saying, but I don't want to misconstrue it.
I think he's saying working class is consistent with lower class, whereas middle class is like that. See, but that's the thing though. It's people that's in the middle class that are considered higher working class people. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I said the paradigm is so vast, man. It's kind of weird, man, because
I consider myself middle class and working class. You know what I'm saying? But from a
No, I was going to ask you. The middle class has to work, right? So that would be work. I mean, I thought it was one.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I thought, but I mean, hey,
he talking more or less. Okay. He talking more or less from a social outlook. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And which I understand. Yeah, he talking more or less from a social outlook. What's up, Yami? Okay, I guess he get ready. But yeah, he talking more or less from a social outlook. I get his point. But just from the American class system in itself.
Hey, peace up. I see I'm kind of breaking up some. Can you hear me?
No, you sound good.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, I was just saying, yeah, I get your point. You looking at it more or less from a sociologist level. I get it. Oh damn.
Oh, damn, he dropped off. And y'all may come back on, man. Come back on.
So
He must
yeah, I
have
get his point,
connection.
but if you go ask the average American person, they gonna tell you they working class. You know what I'm saying? They may be lower class, they may be lower class Americans, they may be middle class Americans. But
But
at the end of the day, they're gonna say they working class.
But that begs the question. So, what is the dollar amount that separates the working class from the middle class?
I mean, you do got a poverty line, so
Okay, yeah, that's the lower class.
but
But the middle
but
class is still working though. The middle class still got to get up and work 7 days a week, or 5 days a week. I don't know, but they still got
yeah,
to get up and work. Whereas the upper class don't have to work. As you know, what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying, oh well, the rich class. I was see, it's complicated. It's complicated.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, that's
I
why
get it.
I mean, when I look at middle class, I'm looking at people who have to get up and go to work, so they're working. So
Right,
that's why I
right.
was just like, what dollar amount separates the middle from the working? Because it's interchangeable. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, historically, the working class have been synonymous with the lower class. That's how you get the whole Bolshevik movement and communism and all that.
Oh, okay, got you. So the working class is the lower. Okay, now I see what's going on. Now I
Me
see.
and my ideology, I don't see it that way. But that's just me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, this is new to me. I mean, it's been presented, so I never really. I mean, this is new. So okay, I didn't know the working. I mean, I you
Yeah,
know
yeah. Communist, the damn communists, like basically came up with the word working class. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
Like we wasn't calling it that shit. Like it was just lower, middle, and upper. You know what I'm saying? But at
Got
the end of the day, from a logical standpoint, shit, everybody got to get up and go to work. You know what I'm saying? Lower class people get up and go to work. Middle class people get up and go to work. Hell, for the most part, upper class people get up and go to work. Now you only got that 1% that really ain't got to do that shit. You know what I'm saying?
I
But
was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that the 1%. I don't think they're working class, but
yeah, I mean, is a doctor. Hell, doctors work 5
yeah,
day, 12-hour shifts.
yeah. So
You
that's
know what
work.
I'm saying?
Yeah. That's yeah.
You're still working.
Okay. You know what? I get it now. I get it.
Yeah. So
And,
that's a socialist term, working class. That's why I said I understand it.
got to be a socialist term because it kind of it confused me. Socialist. It's a three-card money term, is what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's a three-card money term, man, because it's all
Yeah.
working. Yeah. So yeah, it's a three-card money.
Yeah, that's a way for you to sign up and get this red hat. That's what that shit is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a 3-card money.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that because because I don't want to lose no brain cells trying to decipher what is working and what's not because it's all working. That's why I'm like, huh? Yeah. Okay. It's a 3-card money. I gotta call it for what it is, and Yami.
And like I said, you really can't base it in the class because you can be in the lower class working. You can move up to the middle class still working.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You could get up to the upper class and still be working.
Yeah.
There's no other, like I said, name me the other social platform in which you can move up or down. Shit, it don't matter. Within a society. Name it.
Well, that's similar when I was asking the question yesterday when I was asking Yanga about the free speech. So it's kind of similar, and I think based on Yanga's dancing yesterday, he will dance to that question also because it's similar. It's a similar question.
Right.
So I think Yang will put on his dancing shows and dance the blues. Yeah, he gonna
Right.
yeah, he gonna dance on that one.
Well, all right, man. Yeah, I guess that's all I got, man. It's 11 o'clock, so I guess Yame fell off. So
Yeah, man.
I would have loved to hear what Yame had to say, but
Oh, me too, man. Me too. God damn.
maybe he'll break it down one of these days. Maybe he'll break it down one of these days, man. But yeah, that's all I got, man. Like I said, the next video I'm gonna do about this whole thing, and like I said, I'm getting into the communalism next, and we're gonna look at communalism and what it truly is, and y'all let me know if it's a good fit for Black people. If I had to guess, because your ass is on a cell phone or laptop or a computer, you would probably say no. Because you kiss all that shit goodbye in communalism.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least okay, I give you this. You might be able to bring what you got with you, but you ain't gonna be able to never upgrade. You'll have an iPhone 12 for the rest of your life.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, cool. Jono said, let me see. He said, Black nationalism is wrong, just like every form of nationalism. Hey, intriguing argument. You know, I mean, is it acceptable for me to accept white nationalism on top of Black nationalism?
Oh hell, what about Christian nationalism?
Christian nationalism. There you go.
Yeah. Hell, that's wrong. Shit.
There you go.
So if Black nationalism is wrong, that means Christian nationalism is wrong. Hell, Islamic Caliphate is wrong. Shit.
Yeah, hey, there you go. There you go. Well, and like I said, and I'm just dealing with people in the United States. How can I define being a nationalist in an already founded nation? You know what I'm saying? Not to say that you can't be, but your nationalism instinctively has to be set in the foundation of America. If you're American, I don't think you got much of a choice unless you go somewhere else. So there's that.
Jono said agreed. So okay. Jono, if I wish you could jump on the panel, man, so we could dialogue better, because sometimes I get things misinterpreted on the chats, man. Sometimes I should be out being agreeing to something that I'm thinking. Never mind. Anywho, but okay, yeah. Like I said, man, if Black nationalism is wrong, Christian nationalism is wrong. I stand by that 100%.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah.
Or are we looking at what the adjective is and not the actual proper noun? The adjective being what we're defining: Black, white, Christian. What about the nationalism part? You know what I'm saying? Where is that coming from? If I'm saying I'm a Black nationalist, that means I'm saying that I'm pushing a nation specifically for Black people. I'm not doing that. If I'm a white nationalist, I'm pushing a nation specifically for white people. Hell, a lot of people, that's what they doing.
Mm-hmm.
Christian nationalism. They're pushing for a nation. They're pushing for a theocracy.
Yeah.
In the United States of America.
Yep.
So, hey, I get it. What I'm saying is my nationalism is tied to the values of the United States of America.
I'm gonna say this, and you probably gonna fall in your chair. Most MAGAs are Christian nationalists.
They are, yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I could have told you that, but does MAGA is MAGA specific for a Christian nationalist though? You would clearly say no.
I would say no, but some people can probably come on here and argue the point. I don't know, but I would say no, because when you talk about policies, it's for Americans, period. But I can see, it just so happens in the MAGA movement, you just have a lot of Christian nationalists, and a lot of those people in J6 were Christian nationalists. But hey,
you know,
Again, are the Christian nationalists are they the driving force behind MAGA? I would say clearly, no, they're not.
no,
You know what I'm saying?
no, because that's hard. That's hard to measure. That's actually hard to measure. You know,
I
shout out.
would clearly say no.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with
I
that.
mean, you got all type of people that's at MAGA. You got Christian nationalists, you got constitutionalists,
Yep.
you got QAnon. Shit,
Oh yeah, that's
you got yeah, I mean you got hell, you even got some libertarians that push for Trump.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Because Trump want to get the career politicians up out of office. And that's exactly what the libertarians want.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, yeah. So I mean, yeah. I don't think I don't think the political view is tied to a specific group of people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, then let me ask you this question: do you think Alex Jones is a Christian nationalist?
No, I think Alex Jones is QAnon.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna leave that alone, bro.
That motherfucker is QAnon is what he is.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm a.
Yeah, but at the same time, a lot of Christian nationalists listen to Alex Jones.
That's right. Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, Alex Jones is a damn hell. Alex Jones the one make the tinfoil hats. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't gonna do. You ain't gonna. Hey, you gonna now hear me disagree with that. Oh man, okay, but I don't know. I think he a Christian nationalist. When you say QAnon, okay, we'll have to.
Yeah, QAnon, man.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a fine line between Christian nationalism and QAnon, so that's why I had to let you have that. Damn.
Hey, ain't he the first one that brought out Pizzagate?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There you go. And QAnon ran with that shit.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Wasn't he the first one to bring out the FEMA camps?
Yep, that's right. The coffins. Yep.
Yeah, the fucking plastic coffins and shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, that motherfucker is QAnon. QAnon. I remember they got QAnon. That's what that motherfucker is.
Oh, shit, goddamn.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but like I said, and that's what makes Trump so powerful because what other candidate have you seen that can unite all these different groups? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I can't argue that point, bro. I can't argue that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're dealing with, man. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, man. Yeah, I guess everybody done left, so I guess we're gonna go and get up out of here.
All right. Well, shout out to everybody, man. The Yame, Juju, GTO. I think I saw Deacon up in here. Jono. Yeah, man. Shout out to you. I think I got everybody covered, man. Everybody in the clouds, man. Yeah, man. Good conversation. Y'all send this to Yanga.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he.
Yeah. We're putting the APB out on Yanga, man. We need to know his whereabouts. So, man, we got to bring him in for question.
Yes, sir.
72-hour hold.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We need some answers, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we need them now.
Yeah. We absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? For questioning and potential charge of impersonation.
Oh shit.
He needs some answers.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, man. Yeah. Shout out to Yanga, man.
Yeah, send the bat signal out to Yanga, man. Send the bat signal. Yanga's Batman. Send him out. Send him out the signal.
Need to holler at him.
Yep.
Yeah, if you know his whereabouts, call Crime Stoppers.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Cash reward may be redeemable.
Yes, sir.
With valid information.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, shout out to Yanga, man.
Shout out to Yanga.
Yeah. So all right, man. Yeah, we're gonna go and get up out of here. I just wanted to present that real quick and
Yeah, good.
yeah, man. Yeah. Be stay tuned for the next video. Like I said, next video, we're gonna jump in this whole communalism thing. So
Yeah, I can't wait, brother. I can't wait. You know, that's gonna ruffle some feathers. I can't wait.
yeah, no doubt. Well, all right, man. We'll holler at y'all potentially tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see.
Sounds good.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace out.